Hello, little listener. Tonight's story is about a tiny cloud, soft and shy, who floated high above the world, but didn't want to rain because it loved watching the dreams below. High up in the sky, far above the rooftops and trees, floated a cloud named Nilo. Nilo was the smallest cloud in the sky, puffy and white, like a scoop of sleepy whipped cream. All the other clouds had jobs. Some made shade, some brought snow, and others, the big gray ones, rumbled with thunder and let the rain fall. But Nilo didn't want to rain, not even a drop. When the wind asked why, Nilo said, "I don't want to wake the dreamers below. I like watching them sleep." Because each night, as the stars came out and the towns grew still, Nilo would float low and gentle, peeking through windows and garden trees. He'd see children curled up under blankets, stuffed animals tucked under arms, eyes fluttering as dreams began to bloom. Sometimes he saw giggles in their sleep, other times soft sighs. Once, a little boy whispered, "Hello, cloud," and Nilo felt his heart grow fluffy with joy. The other clouds didn't understand. "Rain is important," they said. "It helps flowers grow." But Nilo believed dreams help little hearts grow too. So instead of raining, Nilo learned to do something else. He gently drizzled dream mist. Not wet, not cold, just a touch of sparkle in the air to make dreams sweeter. It felt like a kiss from the sky. And soon, the flowers still grew. The dreams grew too. And the other clouds began to smile at Nilo when they passed. They didn't try to change him anymore. Because sometimes, being soft is the strongest thing you can be. Tonight, if your window feels a little cooler, a little softer, maybe Nilo is floating by, watching over your dream and wishing you good night. Hello, little listener. Tonight's story is about a tiny cloud, soft and shy, who floated high above the world, but didn't want to rain because it loved watching the dreams below. High up in the sky, far above the rooftops and trees, floated a cloud named Nilo. Nilo was the smallest cloud in the sky, puffy and white, like a scoop of sleepy whipped cream. All the other clouds had jobs. Some made shade, some brought snow, and others, the big gray ones, rumbled with thunder and let the rain fall. But Nilo didn't want to rain, not even a drop. When the wind asked why, Nilo said, "I don't want to wake the dreamers below. I like watching them sleep." Because each night, as the stars came out and the towns grew still, Nilo would float low and gentle, peeking through windows and garden trees. He'd see children curled up under blankets, stuffed animals tucked under arms, eyes fluttering as dreams began to bloom. Sometimes he saw giggles in their sleep, other times soft sighs. Once, a little boy whispered, "Hello, cloud," and Nilo felt his heart grow fluffy with joy. The other clouds didn't understand. "Rain is important," they said. "It helps flowers grow." But Nilo believed dreams help little hearts grow too. So instead of raining, Nilo learned to do something else. He gently drizzled dream mist. Not wet, not cold, just a touch of sparkle in the air to make dreams sweeter. It felt like a kiss from the sky. And soon, the flowers still grew. The dreams grew too. And the other clouds began to smile at Nilo when they passed. They didn't try to change him anymore. because sometimes being soft is the strongest thing you can be. Tonight, if your window feels a little cooler, a little softer, maybe Nilo is floating by, watching over your dream and wishing you good night. Hello, Starry Snuggler. Tonight's story is about a pair of pajamas that didn't just keep a child warm. They lit up gently in the dark and carried them into the softest dreams. In a little dresser, folded neatly between cozy shirts and socks, lay a pair of very special pajamas. They looked like ordinary sleepwear, dark blue with tiny silver dots. But when the lights turned off and the room grew still, something magical happened. The silver dots began to sparkle. Not like glitter, not like fireflies, but soft, slow flickers like stars sighing in the dark. A child named Juna discovered them one chilly evening. She pulled them on and they felt just right, warm at the toes, soft at the collar, and light as a whisper. As she lay down, her covers tucked around her, the pajamas began to shimmer. And then the stars on her pajamas slowly lifted, floating like glowing dust. Juna felt her body relax, and suddenly she was drifting. The pajamas weren't just clothes, they were a ship, a starship. She sailed through skies made of velvet, past sleepy clouds and blinking planets. Comets waved hello, and shooting stars twirled in slow, dreamy circles. Her ship made no sound, only a faint hum, like a lullaby wrapped in moonlight. Juna didn't steer. The pajamas knew the way. They carried her to places no one else had ever dreamed, gardens of quiet giggles, lakes of shimmering light, and floating beds of cloud-soft pillows. And when her dream was done, the pajamas gently brought her back to bed, just in time for the morning light to peek through the window. The sparkles faded, but Juna always woke up with the feeling that something magical had happened. And each night, when she put on her starry pajamas, she smiled, ready to fly again. Tonight, when you slip into bed, imagine your pajamas glowing quietly, ready to carry you somewhere beautiful. Good night. Hello, little dream walker. Tonight's story is about a path that didn't lead through forests or over hills, but through dreams made of soft silver light, where every step glowed beneath your feet. In a town where lanterns dimmed one by one as bedtime came, a girl named Mira loved to take little walks in her dreams. She didn't run, she didn't fly, she simply walked, slowly and gently. But what made her walks special were the footsteps. Each time she took a step in her dream, a soft moonlit print would appear beneath her. not heavy or loud, just a quiet shimmer, a glowing oval that faded gently behind her as she moved forward. The ground didn't matter, whether she walked through gardens of pillows, over floating bridges made of yarn, or across lakes that rippled like silver silk. Her footsteps always left a trail of light. One night, Mira noticed something curious. When she looked back, someone else was following her path. Not to chase, not to scare, just to follow. Quietly, comfortably. It was a small boy, maybe a little younger than her, with big eyes and a gentle smile. "I saw your footprints," he said. "They made me feel safe." Mira smiled. "Then walk with me," she said. From that night on, others began to follow too. Sleepy children with blinking eyes and yawns in their voices, all walking together gently on a path lit not by lamps or stars, but by moonlight footsteps made by dreams. No one rushed, no one led. They just walked, slowly, through a dreamscape that welcomed them like a lullaby. And when it was time to rest, the footsteps led each of them back to their own beds, where their blankets waited and pillows good night. Tonight, as you fall asleep, imagine each breath as a step, each heartbeat a soft glow beneath you, and let your dreams show you the way. Good night. Joyful dreamer. Tonight's story is about a tiny cloud, not one full of rain, but one that floated around collecting the happiest sound in the world, giggles. Way up in the sky, between the fluffy white clouds and the soft blue above, lived a small silvery puff named Pippa. Pippa wasn't a rain cloud. She didn't rumble or storm. She didn't make snow or thunder. She had one very special job. She collected giggles. You see, when children laughed, really laughed, the kind that made their bellies shake and their eyes squint, those little giggles would float up into the air like bubbles. Most of them vanished into the sky, but some were caught by Pippa. She floated from town to town, village to village, playground to playground, listening carefully. When a baby squealed with delight, Pippa caught it. When a toddler laughed at a silly face, Pippa held it close. When two siblings burst out laughing after a tickle fight, Pippa nearly burst with joy. She didn't store them in a jar or a box. No, Pippa kept them in her fluff. That's why she sparkled just a little more than the other clouds, and why, when she floated by, people felt a sudden urge to smile, even if they didn't know why. But Pippa had a secret. At night, after collecting giggles all day, she would drift slowly over sleepy towns and let the giggles go very softly, very gently. They didn't sound loud anymore. At night, they became tiny puffs of joy in dreams. A giggle might become a floating balloon in a toddler's sleep, or a silly dancing animal in someone else's dream. Sometimes it just made dreamers smile in their sleep without knowing why. One evening, a boy named Sammy whispered to his mom, "I dreamed that a cloud was tickling me." And she smiled, not knowing that Pippa had been nearby. And so, each night, Pippa rained laughter into dreams. Not too much, just enough to remind every sleepy child that the world was still full of happy things. So, tonight, if you smile in your sleep or giggle just a little as you dream, it might be Pippa, the cloud, gently letting a giggle fall your way. Good night. Hello again, nature dreamer. Tonight's story is about a quiet forest, one that didn't just rest near your window, but gently fell asleep right along with you. Not far from a small cottage at the edge of the world, there was a forest. It wasn't a big forest, not the kind with howling wolves or deep dark caves. It was a sleeping forest. Every evening, as the sun dipped below the hills, the forest began its bedtime routine. Just like you. First, the trees stretched their branches and shook off the last golden light. Their leaves rustled softly. "Good night, sky." Then the animals got ready. The squirrels tucked themselves into tiny holes, tails wrapped around like fluffy blankets. The owls blinked slowly, perching quietly under the moon. Even the insects dimmed their songs to a low, gentle hum. But what made this forest special wasn't just how it slept, it was that it waited for you. Every night, when the little child in the cottage, you, laid your head on the pillow, the forest listened. If your breathing slowed, the river slowed too. If your eyes began to close, the stars peeked out through the treetops. If you whispered a sleepy thought, the wind carried it gently across the moss and stones. And once you were fully asleep, the forest slept too. The trees stood still like statues, the grass stopped swaying, even the moonlight softened as if it didn't want to disturb a single dream. It wasn't lonely. The forest liked sleeping with you, because it knew that in the morning, when you woke up and stretched, so would it. You and the forest shared dreams of glowing mushrooms, talking fireflies, and gentle fog that curled like ribbons around sleepy animals. And every night, as long as you lay safe in your bed, the forest curled up beside you like a quiet friend who never needed to speak. Tonight, as you close your eyes, know this. Outside your window, the forest is waiting, and when you fall asleep, it will too. You're never sleeping alone. Good night. Hello, gentle dreamer. Tonight's story is about a very special pillow, one that was more than just soft, because inside it bloomed a garden made just for dreams. In a quiet little bedroom, on a small bed near the window, lay a pillow. It was pale blue with tiny white stars stitched into its corners, and it always stayed cool on one side, the perfect kind of pillow for drifting into dreams. But this pillow, unlike any other, had something hidden deep inside its fluff and thread, a secret garden. No one could see it, no one could touch it, but the moment a child laid their head down and closed their eyes, the garden would bloom. The garden inside the pillow didn't have normal flowers or buzzing bees. It had glowing dandelions that floated like wishes, trees that hummed lullabies, and ponds where the water sang softly when the wind blew. It only grew when the sleeper was still, and it changed each night, blooming differently depending on the dreams. For a girl named Amira, the garden grew tall sunflowers that told gentle stories with their petals. For her little brother, Milo, it was filled with soft moss where toy animals came to life and cuddled around him. The pillow garden was never the same twice. Sometimes there were fireflies that giggled when touched. Sometimes the moon dipped low and left a silver path through the trees. And sometimes the child would walk through the garden in their dreams, barefoot and smiling, gathering flowers made of kindness and hope. No loud noises, no chasing, just calm, just wonder. By morning, the garden would quietly fade, folding itself back into the pillow's softness, waiting again for nightfall. The child would wake feeling rested, safe, and somehow happy. Even if they didn't remember the dream, their heart did. And the pillow, always quiet, always still, held their garden safe until the next night. So tonight, when you rest your head, remember this. Inside your pillow, a garden may be waiting. All it needs is your dream to begin. Good night. Hello, soft sleeper. Tonight's story is about a bell, small and silver, that made no sound in the day, but rang gently only inside dreams. In a little shop at the end of a cobblestone street, there sat a dusty wooden shelf filled with forgotten things. Among old books, feather pens, and glass bottles was a tiny silver bell. It had no string, no clapper, and when you shook it during the day, it made no sound at all. But at night, when the shop was closed, the stars were out, and the moonlight crept across the wooden floor, the bell began to shimmer softly. Because this bell had a secret. It only rang in dreams. When children closed their eyes and the world became quiet, the bell would ring, not loudly, but gently, like a note made of moonlight and air. Ding! That sound would float into the dreams of little ones, and wherever they were, in a sky made of bubbles, or on a train made of marshmallows, they would hear it. The bell wasn't just a sound, it was a signal. When the bell rang, dream doors opened. Trees whispered bedtime secrets. Clouds shaped themselves into cuddly animals. Tunnels of stars appeared, leading to new adventures. But the bell didn't just lead the way, it also kept dreamers safe. If a dream ever felt too twisty, if the wind blew too loud, or the colors turned too wild, the bell would ring again. Ding! And everything would calm, the dreams would slow, the lights would dim, the stars would hold your hand. By morning, the bell would stop ringing, its shine would fade, and it would wait, quietly, patiently, for night to fall once more. So tonight, if your dreams feel soft and still, and you hear a tiny sound that feels like peace, that's the bell, just for you. Good night. Hi there, sleepy toes. Tonight's story is about a staircase made not of wood or stone, but of marshmallows. And it only appears when you are truly ready for bed. In a small, peaceful village where dreams floated like dandelion seeds, there was a legend whispered among children. When your body grows still and your eyes get heavy, a staircase made of marshmallows will appear just for you. No one had seen it during the day. It only appeared at night, and only for those who were ready to sleep. One such night, a little girl named Lenny yawned a very big yawn. She had brushed her teeth, put on her coziest pajamas, and cuddled up with her pillow. But before her eyes closed, she noticed something odd in the corner of her room. A soft step, then another, then more. Each one was fluffy, white, and slightly glowing. They stacked gently upward, reaching into the air like a soft, glowing ladder of clouds. Lenny slipped out of bed and gently placed one foot on the first step. It didn't squish too much, just enough to feel cozy. With every step she climbed, the world grew quieter. She heard whispers of lullabies in the air. She felt her body grow lighter, not sleepy tired, just floaty. The marshmallow steps led her past a window where owls blinked slowly, past trees with closed eyes, past clouds that sighed. When she reached the very top, there wasn't a door, there wasn't a room, just a big soft bed waiting in the stars. Lenny climbed into it and sank deep, deeper, until she felt weightless. The stars above blinked kindly. The air hummed like a hug. A soft voice whispered, "You've climbed the marshmallow steps. Now rest." Lenny smiled, closed her eyes, and drifted into the gentlest dream. And when morning came, she woke up in her own bed, warm, rested, and full of wonder. Maybe tonight, if you're very still and very ready, you'll see your first marshmallow step appear. Close your eyes now. They only come when you're ready. Good night. Hello, sweet dream sailor. Tonight's story is about a very special bed. One that didn't just stay still, but rocked gently like a boat on a quiet sea. In a quiet attic room, under a slanted ceiling and a window full of stars, there lived a small bed made of smooth wood and soft blankets. The bed belonged to a boy named Jonas. It looked ordinary by day, neatly made, pillows fluffed, covers tucked in, but at night, when the stars peeked in and the wind slowed to a hush, the bed would shift, just a little. It would sway gently from side to side, like a tiny boat floating on invisible waves. The first time it happened, Jonas thought he was dreaming. He felt the sway, the soft creak of the wooden frame, and the quiet hum of movement. He opened one eye, then the other. The room was still, but his bed was rocking, reassuringly. Not fast, not scary, just slow, like someone was holding it with careful hands. Jonas smiled and pulled the blanket tighter around his shoulders. Each night after that, the bed would rock again, and soon it became their bedtime rhythm. As Jonas closed his eyes, the bed would begin to float, up, up, just a little, carried by calm and quiet. Out the window, the stars would blink slowly. Below, the floor would vanish into a soft sea of dreams. The bed never left the room, but in Jonas's mind, it sailed across dream oceans, past glowing islands made of pillows, under skies where whales sang lullabies, through waters filled with sleepy jellyfish and yawning dolphins. And every time the bed rocked, Jonas drifted deeper, safe and warm, like being held by the sea itself. By morning, the bed rested quietly on the floor again, just as before. But Jonas knew the truth. His bed was more than furniture. It was a boat, a cradle, a dream vessel. And each night, it would wait quietly until he was ready to sail again. Close your eyes now, little traveler. Let your bed rock you softly tonight. Not across the room, but across the stars. Good night.